Hello everyone. I wanted to do this video because there are a lot of things going on with us at St. Luke's that I wanted to try to keep you abreast of, because I know many of you are and have expressed to me that you miss our worship time together, you miss our being together as a community, and you miss just singing and laughing with and smiling at and being around and hugging those who are dear to you. So I can't provide you all of that in this message, but I can talk with you about what we are doing to help you feel the presence of those who love you and to feel the presence of God amongst you. I participated yesterday in a conference call with Bishop Dietschy, Bishop Shin, and Bishop Mary Glasspool about what's going on in the diocese with our worship, with our churches, and involved with us on the call were about 40 other priests from our vicinity in Westchester and Putnam and Dutchess counties. And during that meeting, it was a Zoom meeting. I'm getting better with Zoom meeting technology. But during that meeting, we all learned that it was for a certainty that we were not going to be able to meet for Sunday worship services until at least the first Sunday after Pentecost. The first Sunday after Pentecost is June the 7th. So churches will be closed for sure until then, and even if we are able to open up back then, it will be on a basis that will have to respect the guidelines that the governor and the president will be imposing on us with respect to distancing and sanitation and face mask and things like that. So we will be trying to move toward that place that we have to figure out how we're going to worship together. We have some alternatives which involve having multiple services on a weekend, either an early morning Sunday service plus a 10 o'clock service, or perhaps even opening a Saturday night service to all who would want to come at that time. So we'll be exploring those things as we go forward and figure out a way to worship together. It is unfortunate that we will not all be able to worship together at the same time, but at least we will be worshiping near the same time and at the same place, which is back in the church, which is a very important detail in all of this. I want to update you with respect to what's going on with the vestry and how we're trying to move through this period of time to give all of you a worship experience to be involved in with us. One of the most important things that is going on in our parish right now is our attempt to try to satisfy the hugely increased need for food for those in the town of Somers. As you all know, and as I've spoken with you in the past, that need has increased substantially, and Kathy Casella and her volunteers from the food pantry are adapting very well to that challenge, but the challenge continues to increase in scope and intensity. Kathy and I have been working together. We speak with each other often very early in the morning to begin the day to plan for activities that need to happen. The town of Somers, the Lions Club, the PTA, the school district, and many of those involved with those entities have been very helpful to us in trying to meet that need. And I sort of feel like it is a ministry that I would like to be involved in, to participate in that effort, because in addition to having a worship experience, I also believe that we can find God in our lives in serving the needs of others, and one of those hugely increased needs right now is the need for a nutritious meal. And so we're doing the best that we can to provide that. We have managed to make arrangements with an entity called Feeding Westchester. I will give you more details about that at a later time, but right now what we're doing is we are going to set up deliveries of pallets full of food on a truck to come to our church and drop it off so that we can use those supplies to create bags of groceries for people that come through in our Friday afternoon drive-through pantry. Kathy is really working very hard and has assigned various jobs to her volunteers, some of whom are not part of our congregation, but are in fact from other congregations in the Somers area, but many of whom are, and in fact these are increasing in number, those who seek to volunteer their time and efforts to help feed those who arrive at our pantry. As you might imagine, the procedures have had to change over the last 4 to 6 weeks as we incrementally see more and more people from our area that need to come and get food. So we're trying to adapt to those needs. As we ponder that, and as we go through our decision-making process about how we serve that need, I've involved your vestry in considering that. So we have a meeting with Kathy, between Kathy and the vestry and I, this coming Tuesday night, where we'll be pondering how we can assist her in that ministry, how we can incorporate that ministry into the ministry of St. Luke's in an ongoing manner that serve the needs of community. So there'll be a lot of discussions about that, a lot of strategies that we want to try to consider together. While we have a substantially increased need for the food, we also have a substantially increased ability to meet that need. Various organizations around the town of Somers have given us donations not only of food but also of money, and our new commitment from Feeding Westchester enables us to receive free food to help in the process of serving those in our community who desperately need that food. As we go forward in how we operate as a parish, we will be considering the needs of the food pantry for space, time, money, people, etc., and in conjunction with the needs of our other ministry, the ministry to the AA groups. We have 12 of those groups that have been meeting regularly with us through the years. Obviously can't meet now because of the restrictions on meetings of significant numbers of people, and I anticipate that there will be perhaps even an increased need from AA as well as the increased need of the food pantry, and we're going to try to figure out how we can serve all of those needs simultaneously and in a balance that will allow us to assist them consistent with our own abilities. We're a small parish, but we think big, and when we think big, we are trying to think about how we can serve those needs in a manner that will enable us to reach out to them and provide them the help that they need, as well as help fulfill their spiritual needs, so that all of them can be enriched by our presence, and I would suggest also that we can be enriched by their presence. I would call out to you the fact that there are a number of people in our congregation who are hurting, many of whom hurting simply because of the fact that their lives have been upended. I would point out to you particularly that I would ask for your prayers for Pat Larson, who lives in a retirement center in Danbury, She has been diagnosed with the coronavirus. I've been speaking with her on a regular basis. Um, she is not hospitalized. She is still at home in isolation. She has the support of family members who live close by, as well as the support of the staff at the retirement center where she lives. So I would ask you simply to keep Pat in your prayers. She's one of our members who is so closely tied with us. For those of you who don't know, Pat's late husband, Larry, was a priest in our diocese up at the St. Andrew's Church in Brewster for many years. Pat's mother is buried in the columbarium there. And Larry, her husband, was an individual who gave of himself tirelessly on behalf of members of our parish back in the years in which we had lost a priest, and we were involved in a search for a new priest, and Larry stepped in to provide pastoral needs for many people on a tireless and selfless basis. So we owe Pat our loyalty, we owe Pat our prayers, and she is just an extremely spiritual, deeply spiritual individual whom we all love dearly. I have some ideas about how we move forward during this time that we are no longer able to provide church in the traditional sense. And one of the things that I've thought about is a concept that I'm still pondering, and it's still sort of an original thought that I haven't fully developed in my own mind yet. And it's I'm calling it a prayer a day for the month of May, because we know that we are not going to be having church as a congregation during the month of May. And I have been in consultation with a number of people in the parish who want to lend their help in any way that they can. We have had the vestry reaching out to many of you just to check on you by phone to see how you're doing, see what needs you have, see what's going on with your families and with your work, because I realize that not all of our problems and not all of our issues and not all of our concerns arise solely from whether we get sick from the coronavirus, but also arrive to us as a result of the fact that the coronavirus impacts so many of us in so many different ways, if nothing other than just an increased anxiety about who we are and about how it affects us going forward. So that's why I've had various members of our vestry reaching out to you. If you haven't received a call already, you probably will in the next couple of weeks. But in addition to that, I want to implement a process whereby each of you has the chance to speak with me if you need to. And there's a couple of ways that I'm contemplating doing that. One of them is scheduling a specific time, a specific number of hours during certain days of the week by which you can contact me. Most of you have the ability to get on the internet and your computers and actually have a live face and a live image to talk to. I've done that with many people in our congregation. Some of you don't have that capability, so I want to be able to provide access to me for all of you so that you can make an appointment, schedule a time to speak with me either by phone or on FaceTime or in this wonderful new thing that we call Zoom, where we can meet together. And I'm perhaps even contemplating ways that we can have several people, numbers of people, in one single meeting to discuss the things that are going on in our lives, the scriptures that we most feel strengthened by during this time, So I'm pondering that for the future. Mary Churchill, who most of you know as a parishioner in our parish, has offered to set up and implement a prayer chain by which we can all remain in contact with each other. And I'll be speaking with Mary about how we do that and the best way that we can serve multiple numbers of people through the course of any given week. I think that we're trying to find different ways of being a church and being a congregation and living together in community at a very, very important and difficult time in our lives, a time in which we are pondering how we focus on God, how we focus on the good in other human beings, and perhaps even how we focus on the good in ourselves. So that's the purpose for trying to do all these things that I've been speaking with you about here today. I'm looking at my computer and I'm noticing that we are at about 16 minutes, which is more than a normal sermon should be. And I don't want this to be a sermon, I want it to be an invitation. I want it to be an invitation to all of you to engage with your fellow parishioners, to engage with your community, to engage with me, perhaps even in different ways and deeper ways than we have been accustomed to connecting by. So I welcome your thoughts, I welcome your input. Please feel free to send me an email, and please feel free to give me a call if there are ways that you would like to reach out to me about, that we can do new things to serve your needs for yourselves, for this parish, for your individual families. I think that we have many, many opportunities that are different, that have presented themselves in a new way. And rather than talking about or dwelling upon the things we have lost right now, I think we can ponder and think about and dwell upon the things that we have gained and the value, perhaps even deeper value, in the ways that we're now connecting, in the ways that we're trying to seek God out, and in ways that we are trying to comfort each other. So I'm going to put this video on my YouTube page. I'm going to ask that Janet send it to each of you as a link in an email to the entire parish. I'm going to see if I can figure out a way to post it on our Facebook page and my Facebook page. But I realize how difficult this time is for everyone. Solitude is a good thing for us in our relationship with God, but only to a point. There comes a point at which we really feel the need to reach out and touch our fellow human beings, and I want to try to provide that to you in an ongoing manner, because we all know that this time may be longer than any of us anticipate and any of us desire, and that is not solely in our hands, it's in God's hands. So if we can simply deliver that back to God with our prayers and our hopes for renewal of ourselves, renewal of our community, renewal of our bonds with each other, and we try to do that together, it will provide us what we need in the way of going forward. So I leave you today with this prayer. Most gracious and loving God, we thank you for all that you give us. We thank you for the time that we have spent together. We ask that you open our hearts and our minds and our spirits to new opportunities to share with each other and to share with those around us who are hurting, to provide us with new connections to those who love you and those whom you love and those whom you wish that we can provide for. We ask that you guide our hearts and our minds and our spirits in the coming days. We ask all these things in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Amen.